Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. I am an Apple Music user, an Apple Music guy. I have been for, well, now I guess you could say, officially, like this past week, 10 years using Apple Music. Now, normally that would not be like a big actual benchmark in my life. Like it's not something like I didn't remember or keep in my calendar or mark down on my phone that, hey, this is 10 years of using Apple Music. Just so you know, I got alerted on my phone that I've been using Apple Music for 10 years. And I mean, it's cool, but like, I didn't know that for one, I had used Apple Music for that long, and two, that my phone would actually alert me when I opened up, the Apple Music app on my phone, and it just pretty much, promote that as soon as I open it up. But it's kind of cool though, because like they gave me like, a playlist of my top like played 100 songs that I play on my phone whenever I want to listen to music. And a lot of good songs were on there, including like bangers like Welcome to the Jungle, We Will Rock You, Bohemian Rhapsody. A lot of good songs were on this playlist that Apple Music had created for me. A lot of really good ones, and ones that I listened to, before in the past, like not like super far back, but like, pretty recently I listened to these songs. And it came to a shock to me, just today when I was listening to it. Bohemian Rhapsody actually did come on, and it started out like, I didn't choose the song. I didn't skip to it. It was just my headphones were in and I had my phone on shuffle, the music, and the song came on. And you know how Bohemian Rhapsody is. You know how it begins. Everybody really knows that song. If they've never heard of it, I don't believe them at all. It's just way too popular and way too common of a song for people to not have heard it by now. I'm pretty sure like a lot of people in this world know that song and have heard it at least once, maybe not like as they're listening to music or trying to like actively listen to it, but like they've definitely heard it somewhere through somebody or something. There's just no way you've never heard of that song. But the song did come on, and it started off, how I've listened to it before on my phone many times. But then I had noticed that I was hearing things in the song that I had not heard before. I was hearing like a bell and background singing much more clearer than I've had in the past. And I had let the song go for about like, halfway. And I mean, there was just one part where I think a background voice was just way too prominent. And I had to take out my earbuds, and like I thought like maybe somebody had said the exact same words in the song in like the background of where I was, but that was not the case. And then I put them back in, and I'm like, you know what? This actually does sound a little different. So I look at my phone, right? I unlock it. I go to the song that's playing. And, on Apple Music, and I'm pretty sure like on Spotify as well, but when you open it up, and when you have a song playing like right below the timeline of the song, for Apple Music, it says Dolby Atmos, which, I mean, I didn't know that song was Dolby Atmos, because in the past week when I listened to it, it's just like regular song. There's nothing too special to it. And hearing those background voices so prominent, like I'd never heard them before. I mean, I thought I was kind of losing my mind. And then I opened my phone, I saw Dolby Atmos. I'm like, oh, when did the song get upgraded or updated to Dolby Atmos? Because it was never like that before. Kind of strange. So I don't know what it is, who decides, but most songs that I have, a lot of them, well, it's a mix. A lot of them don't have Dolby Atmos, and a lot of them do. Some acquire it, and some songs don't have it that I kind of wish had it, just to see how it would sound, if it would sound a little bit different. Others acquire it, and this was just like the most recent one that acquired Dolby Atmos, which, I mean, I don't really exactly know what it does for the song, just kind of make it sound a little bit more better, I guess, better quality of sound. Things stick out more, for sure. Maybe like background instruments, background voices. Doesn't necessarily sound all that much better, but you can definitely hear like more of the other things that you never really heard in like the original like MP3 or the downloaded version that you have of that song. It's kind of strange, but it was it was honestly kind of weird because I had never expected that before. And I'm not sure who decides that either, if it's Apple or some guy at Apple or, the music gods, but like who decides what songs get Dolby Atmos and which ones don't? I can kind of tell you that it might be based on like song popularity, potentially, and this is my only, example that why that might be the case, is because last summer, when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, at the beginning of the movie, there is a very good song that is played. It's Bye 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 by NSYNC. And it's a great song. If you've not heard it, you should check it out. But as soon as like I got out of the theater, I'm like, that song was a banger. I'm going to download it on my phone so I can listen to it on repeat, because it really is a tremendous song. I mean, I don't really understand the lyrics, but it sounds, banging. It's a good song. It's a good jam. I mean, I certainly enjoy it. I think a lot of people enjoy that song. But shortly after, I had re-downloaded it. Maybe a month or two, not even 2 months, like maybe like a few weeks to a month. Yeah, maybe like 2 weeks to a month after Deadpool and Wolverine came out. The song got updated to Dolby Atmos. I had noticed that. It sounded a little different. And I'm thinking like to myself, like, well, maybe it's because the song recently got popular, so they decided to give it the Dolby Atmos treatment. But I'm thinking to myself, like, what movie or what craze did Bohemian Rhapsody just go through to get this Dolby Atmos upgrade? Like, I have no idea how this even happened. Maybe it's like a thing that Apple is going to be doing with all their music eventually. They're just kind of going through all their music that they have on their service. So, just be prepared in the future. If you notice a song sounding a little bit different, it is usually because they update to Dolby Atmos without your consent, which is kind of strange that they just kind of update it. And it only works if you use like Apple products, by the way. Like I have AirPods Pro, and it always plays Dolby Atmos version on my AirPods Pro. And I also have some Bose over-the-ear headphones as well, which are very good and sound really good and have a very good quality of sound. Those do not get Dolby Atmos, and then just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it might just be an Apple thing, but like the Dolby Atmos experience is like solely reserved for Apple products, I believe. I have not been able to unlock Dolby Atmos on my Bose headphones, which is kind of weird. But just kind of be on the lookout for that, because I've noticed that happening. It definitely shocked me. I was not expecting to hear voices in a song that I've heard hundreds of times. You know, I'm also the guy that, when I discover a new song or maybe rediscover a song and I hear it and I'm like, this was nice. Like, this was good. I listen to that till I get sick and tired of it. I'm not even kidding you. I'm weird like that. Like, once I get like a good vibe, a good beat going, I'm a huge melody guy, huge chorus guy. So when I get like a song that's got a good chorus, a good melody, catchy, I cannot stop listening to it. I mean, I swear to God, once I saw Deadpool Wolverine, I pulled up two songs, right? Bye 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 and Like a Prayer by Madonna. Like, that was my jam for like a good week and a half after I saw the film. So I'm just like that type of guy. I like good music. When it comes on, I can't help but like bob my head, tap my toe, sing a little bit, sometimes sing a lot. I definitely have blown out my voice a lot during car rides. I mean, I can't complain. If I'm by myself in a car and I got a good jam going, there's like 100% chance I'm going to start to sing. Like, immediately going to start to sing. I have never once, not backed down from singing a song alone in my car. If I'm alone in my car, I'm probably going to sing a song. I'm not even kidding. I do have a few songs that I almost kind of have down 100%. Like, I'm a huge fan of older music. Huge fan. Like classic rock, classic hip hop, classic pop, like good music like that. I think the reason why is because, one, my parents, that's what they listened to all the time. That's what they showed us when we were kids. But also, like, to more on the classic rock side, I think that a lot of kids in my day back then who, had the obsession with that music and kind of grew up still loving that music like myself, I think that Guitar Hero was a big factor in that. I mean, that game alone was just like an introduction to a lot of people back then, including myself, to some classic music, classic rock that was just they were all just big time jams. Like, I remember when I was playing Guitar Hero 3 and Welcome to the Jungle was on that game. And that was one of the most funnest songs to play. Not the hardest, right? Not the most difficult. Not the one that everybody wanted to 100% or try to get to 100%. But it was just like a fun song to play. And like, when you played it, I know Guitar Hero wasn't like guitar accurate, but it was still fun to play. You got that like performative vibe from it. Like, you were actually playing the music. Even if it was like just like a guitar controller type of thing. Like, it made you think that, oh, I'm actually playing this song with this guitar controller for a video game. It was badass. I mean, that's how I think, found like my love for classic rock and still listen to it to this day. But anyways, there's a few songs, not a few, but there's a handful of songs I've just listened to over and over and over again that I think, I'll be honest, I think that I could actually sort of somewhat perform at karaoke. I'm not gonna lie. Now, I'm not a good singer whatsoever. I don't sing very well. I can't harmonize. I have no musical, tone in my voice. My voice is like the worst thing you could ever hear. I'm surprised I even have a podcast, but like, I just feel like my voice is crap. Like, it's really bad. So like, I would probably never, ever, ever, unless I was like fully on, like really intoxicated, do actual karaoke. And my song of choice, which I've, been leading to, where I pretty much have like all the lyrics down. would be Billy Joel's Uptown Girl. That song is, for one, like one of the most like best songs ever. Beat, chorus, melody, everything about that song is just music magic, in my opinion. One of the most well-written songs of all time. Catchy, and I mean, like, just an all-time great song. But I've listened to that song so many times that I think that I actually could perform it at karaoke. It wouldn't sound as good as Mr. Joel's version at all. I'm not saying that I would be good. I'm not saying that I would sound good, but I mean, I'm saying that that is like my ace in the hand, my song at the ready, if you will, if I was ever going to do karaoke. Not saying I am going to, because that'd be totally embarrassing for me to do that. But I mean, if I had to, like, that would be in my pocket, like my back pocket, like I have that secured. You know, it's like a security blanket. Like, you got to do karaoke. What are you doing? Oh, that's easy. Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. 100%. Like, that's the one. There might not be another song that I could actually do karaoke to. I mean, if I have the words there and I listen to it, like, there might be one more. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a Lady Gaga song, and you're probably thinking to yourself, like, you listen to Lady Gaga? Listen, I'm a fan of good music, no matter who sings it, right? My range of music goes from, and I'm not even kidding you, like Beethoven to all the way to like Katy Perry. Katy Perry's got some good music as well. You know, Katy Perry's got some bangers. But if I had to choose like my second song to karaoke to, one that's got a good beat, good lyrics, fun to sing, catchy melody, chorus, it would be The Edge of Glory by Lady Gaga. That song is a very, 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 in my opinion, not well listened to, not well known song by Miss Gaga, but I mean, it's a powerful song that I think is incredibly fun to belt in the car. At least I find it very fun to belt in the car. And I pretty much know all the lyrics to that one too, but if I did have like a little teleprompter to help me out with that, I mean, that would be a pretty fun one to sing as well. Not saying I would sing it or perform it very well, but that would be like another go-to song that I could definitely see like myself like having a shot at singing it pretty well, even though I already know, like, I mean, even if I was like intoxicated, which I would never do karaoke while intoxicated, but I mean, I say that now, but if I was intoxicated, I might actually, you know, give it a whirl and, you know, completely embarrass myself while I do it. But that would be the other song, two right there, Uptown Girl and The Edge of Glory. I don't know, it's just something about that song that's very powerful. Again, it's not like super popular upon other Lady Gaga music, but in my opinion, it just kind of has like a right, like the right lyrics, the right beat, where like when you if you would try to sing it in karaoke, like, I think by the sheer passion of the music and the passion of wanting to get the lyrics right and striving for that goal could like empower you enough to at least perform it at a decent sound and pace and, you know, ferocity, like, you know, actually, like, you know, put some passion into it. Not saying it's going to be perfect, but like, if I had to choose some songs, those two are what I would choose, like, pretty much, like, hands down. I mean, like, there would be no other option for me. I couldn't see myself singing any other song that I would know the lyrics to that well. Maybe Living on a Prayer, but like, that song, he's like shouting, screaming, which I love. I mean, I love that song to death, but like, I would absolutely embarrass myself trying to sing that song because I would try to sing it just like John Bon Jovi, high pitched, yelling, kind of like almost like chanting in a way. Like my voice is terrible. I could not do that at all. It'd be a bloodbath. Like I would actually shred my throat, shred my voice box by trying to do that. I couldn't do that whatsoever. I mean, karaoke, is something that I've looked at like as like, you always think, right, that you can do that. Like, I've heard myself in the car. I'm kind of good. Cut out Billy Joel or John Bon Jovi or Lady Gaga and then put me there. Yeah, I could carry this song. I could make it. I could make it, passable, but then you actually kind of like, you get in like this phase where like you want to try to sound exactly like the person who's singing it. We've all been there, right? I don't want to sing Living on the Prayer with my stupid voice. I want to sing it like John Bon Jovi's voice. So I try to mimic his voice to the best of my ability, and then I can't reach the high notes that he can because I'm like restricting my voice box to sound like John Bon Jovi, which, is what we all do when we sing in the car. But like if you had to actually perform it like karaoke and like hold it and actually like kind of like give it your all, most likely you wouldn't be able to do it. Besides, also when I was growing up in high school, we had 2 music classes that you could join. Music, not really, well, yeah, I guess classes. Yeah, we had choir and then we had band, right? Band, I played trumpet, right? I played the cool instrument, but I wasn't a cool guy, trust me. But I played like one of the better sounding instruments when I was young. And, back then in high school, there was always like this kind of like inter instrument banter between the other kids that played different instruments than I did. We all knew as trumpet players, like we had like the coolest sounding parts of a song that we would all perform together. Like when you think of trumpet, like you think of the Star Wars theme, you think of Superman theme, Indiana Jones. Like you prominently hear the trumpet in those songs. It stands out. It's the heroic sound, the heroic instrument. And we all knew that. I mean, hell, my band teacher knew that too. He was a trumpet player, or I guess, was and still is, I believe, a trumpet player who taught band. So he always like, kind of like made it seem like, we're the best instrument, best sounding instrument. So, we have all the cool parts to the song because our instrument just, objectively sounds better. But there was also like these other, instruments like that would try to claim that they sounded better, that they were better, that mine, I have to tune mine like 7 times a song. We're actually better. It's like, no, you're not. I mean, that's terrible. Like, why would you want to do that? Besides, you don't sound nearly as cool as a trumpet, and you're coming at me with I have to tune my instrument more during a song than you do. I'm better? Like, I don't think so, bud. Checkmate on that. It was always like, silly, stupid, wacky instruments and the kids who played them that would always try to compete with trumpet players because their parts of the song didn't sound as cool as ours did. Now, the only thing that really kind of sucked about, playing a trumpet is like you had to be like really, really good for it to sound, as you hear it, like in pieces of music and stuff like that. You actually had to, be very good. Which, I mean, I was all right. I was decent. I wasn't like the best, but I had some potential. I could, there's definitely like, I look back on it now. I have like a different mentality that I had, I have now than I did back then. But like, if I had applied myself a little bit more and given myself more time to practice and and really nail down the trumpet, I could have sounded amazing. Like, no shot. I could have been like Louis Armstrong good. You know, there's really no like doubt in my mind. Like, if I really applied myself and didn't just think of it as like, a class that I had to get a good grade in, or like if I put more time into it, if I didn't have any of these other classes I had to work on as well, then I could have been like better than Louis Armstrong. Do you ever have like those moments like where you're older now and you look back and you're like, what did I do for like all those years in school? It's like, oh, I did assignments. I studied for a test. I did a project. I did a group activity. And you ever look at that, back at what that was, and now you see it and you view it as an adult and like, I did that. And you think to yourself, like, I could have been like way better than what I actually did when I was that age. Like, I could have, like, if I had my, fully developed brain right now, like full on adult developed brain right now, I could actually probably pass geometry. Like, there's no like doubt in my mind that I would not get like 100% on all like my geometry papers that I had to do back then, which you can't tell I flunked geometry like every time I took it. So I think honestly, like if I had the mentality, the mindset, the drive, the dedication, the grind set, the will power as much as I do right now, like I could have passed geometry with an A plus. Like there'd be like no excuse why I would not get an A plus on that class. Absolutely not. I just didn't have the discipline like I do now back then. You ever think about that? You ever think like, yeah, man, if I went back in time right now, and I started over in high school freshman year, here we go, let's get it. Like I could have been great. I could have been fantastic. Nobody would have been better than me if I had the same mentality I had right now. Absolutely not. But then again, like it's hard to have like that kind of mentality when you're that young. You don't really view it as like as mentality. You don't really view it, at least in my opinion, you don't really view school as a like you're competing, at least. Maybe maybe that's just me, but I did not view it as like a competing, like getting good grades and stuff like that. And if I went back and viewed it as like I want to be better than this idiot over here or this dummy or on that side, like I would actually like really try hard to actually outdo those people. Like honestly, like, and if I applied that to like my Spanish class, dude, I would have been like I could have easily had Spanish as my secondary language. Like I'm Mexican, right? I don't know Spanish. I don't know any Spanish at all. I know uno, dos, tres, cuatro, and carne asada. That's all I know, really. And it's a shame. It's annoying because I could speak Spanish, but I cannot. Now, honestly, like if I'm really being honest, like is high school and college Spanish courses, are those really like the best ways to learn Spanish? Probably not, honestly, because like it's a different breed of Spanish. It's a different it's like more proper Spanish, right? I mean, like, I live in California and I'm Mexican, and I know like a lot of people around here, we don't really speak Spanish. Well, I don't speak Spanish at all, but we don't really speak proper Spanish. It's like more like a Spanglish or a lot of like slang and stuff like that for like, I'm pretty sure like the phrase nosotros somos is not really used in like day-to-day conversations in Spanish where I'm from. At least I've never really heard that ever been used when conversing with people that speak Spanish. Now, again, I'm not much of a Spanish guy, but like I don't really hear a lot of the phrases that we used back then in like speaking to you, about something in Spanish ever. Like I think that might have been a little too proper. And I just don't think that, real people actually speak that way, if I'm being completely honest. But hell, dude, if I actually really did focus on Spanish back then, which I probably should have. I mean, back then you had to take 2 Spanish courses in high school. Spanish 1 and then Spanish 2. You probably could have seen that coming. But you had to take 2 Spanish classes. Spanish 1 is like you're being taught as like if you're an infant. You learn the ABCs in Spanish as a 14 or 15-year-old kid. You're learning Spanish like at a infant's level, and then out of nowhere it jumps up, and still Spanish 1 it jumps to like infant A B C D Che F, A B C D E F, right? And then it goes to like tell me how your day went in Spanish, and you're like, whoa, hold on, I learned English and I'm pretty good at it, and I'm pretty sure I didn't learn it this fast. You got to go a little bit slower, but you can't really go that slow because you only have a year to try to learn Spanish. Even though in Spanish 1 it's it's like it covers a lot, but I think it moves a little too quick for you to like truly grasp and truly get good at Spanish. Like honestly, like if you're going to study Spanish, right, you got to probably go like in the elite classes in Spanish to actually learn Spanish. Like I'm not an expert on learning English because I learned it as I go, as I grew up, but I'm pretty sure I didn't learn all of English within 1 year of my life, right? Here, hell, I'll give it 2 years, right? Spanish 1, Spanish 2, that's 2 years, right? Not even 2 full years. It's like 9 months and then another 9 months, okay? 18 months. I'm not going to be like an expert at Spanish within 19 months of class. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. So I think that, if I really applied myself when I was younger, I could have been like a genius. I mean, I really do think that I could have been like incredible at Spanish. Dude, if I had like the same like brain as I had back then, if I had the same brain I do now as I had back then, I could have been like a physicist or something, man. Like I could have actually like been like pushing the boundaries of like a physics class. Like I'm pretty sure I never took physics, but I would assume like a physics class in high school is like experimenting like how many times a ball is going to bounce if it like you drop it from like this far of a distance from the ground, right? I would be like, no, the hell with that. Like, how do we build like an anti-gravity chamber? Like, how do we actually do something that's actually going to benefit, the planet? Something that actually matters. I don't need to spend like 3 months on like a paper on like why, you can't see gravity or something like that, or why like velocity equals stuff like that. I mean, like I want to know the real stuff, right? Like atoms and shit, and like vortexes and like equilibriums and like. I mean, I did take biology. All right, I took that. I took that class, and I honestly was kind of expecting more out of that class. Cool, we get to see like algae and stuff like that, and like a cell. But like, I wasn't taught at all like if dinosaurs could ever come back. I mean, that was never mentioned one time. I would have like at least liked to have like maybe one day explaining Jurassic Park. That would have been sick. Either if it's like totally like possible or complete like horseshit, like just let me know, like, is this possible or not? Like, and I think I did ask my teacher, or maybe someone did ask my teacher, like, hey, is Jurassic Park possible? And I think my teacher said the movie, and then like ignored the question, like, hey, listen, like that's a valid question when teaching biology and talking about like evolution and sales and stuff like that. Like, that's a very, very valid question. Like, you should not have dismissed that question, lady. That was not good for the development of that person's brain. I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, like, if I really applied myself, damn, man, I could have been like an actual genius, I think. You know? I mean, school wasn't that hard. You know, when you think about it, shit wasn't hard at all. It's probably the easiest stuff you could ever do. But that's not all I want to talk about today. I know I kind of, went on a little too long about that. But, now to get into some real business of the show. This weekend, I actually got around to seeing F1, the movie, starring Brad Pitt. By the way, I do have a bone to pick with this title of the movie real quick, though. Because, I mean, I liked how it was just called F1. Like maybe 5 months ago. Something must have happened. Something, maybe the Formula One got like, hey, people aren't really understanding what they're going to go see. Are they going to go see a movie or are they going to go see a race in the theaters? But what ended up happening was they had put F1, the movie, in the title. Maybe like 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. And that was the one thing that I was like, that's kind of dumb. I'll be honest with you. The movie being just called F1, like Brad Pitt, F1, that was cool. Like, that was really cool. It was ballsy. It like knew what it was about. Like, you instantly knew that this was a movie. You did not think, at least in my opinion, and with my fully developed brain, like, I knew that this was not an F1 race that I'm going to go watch in theaters. I mean, come on, guys. It's not that hard. Put two and two together. Brad Pitt, F1, that's clearly a movie. But anyways, like, they for some reason, they said, you know what, we got to differentiate more. We got to make sure that people know that this is not a race. So we'll call it F1, the movie. Kind of corny, kind of stupid, a little bit unnecessary, but it is what it is. But despite besides the title complaints, time for a review of F1 the movie, starring Brad Pitt. Now, this is directed by Joseph Kosinski, director of Top Gun Maverick, which I love dearly. I mean, you already know. You can go back to maybe, 100 episodes ago where I reviewed Top Gun Maverick, and you all know how much I love that movie, how much I love it still to this day, how I thought that it was a movie that was needed at the time, that it overperformed. I think it made like $1.5 billion at the box office, smashing records, biggest Tom Cruise movie of all time. I think a third one is now coming out or being pitched and written and talked about, which I don't really want to see. I'll be completely honest, but if they can do it, and they got a good story, I would entertain the idea. But I do still think that I have a little bit of a Top Gun Maverick was fantastic. Top Gun 1 was fantastic. Let's just leave this at two fantastic films and move on, right? So, obviously going into this movie, this new one, F1 the movie, with some pretty hype. Joseph Kosinski can direct a film. It's been proven. He can direct spectacle. He can direct action. He can direct characters and actors. He can direct, story beats and plots and move a story along very, very well. Proven that Tom Cruise doesn't just work with Christopher McQuarrie. He also works with Joseph Kosinski, which is, if you don't know, Christopher McQuarrie is like his boy when it comes to Mission Impossible movies. If you go to actually Tom Cruise's filmography, most recent stuff that he's done like the past 4 years is Mission Impossible and Top Gun. He has not done much since that. So those are his two things that he's been doing right now is Top Gun and Mission Impossible. So when it's, the news is out that Joseph Kosinski is doing an F1 movie about the racing with Brad Pitt, sign me up. And I'm in the theater, right? I don't mess around either. I go IMAX. IMAX or bust. I want this full movie to give me an experience of F1. I don't watch F1 at all, really. I've seen a few highlights of it. Looks pretty cool. Looks fast. I don't really know if I would really get into it, but it looks cool nonetheless. So, I am in the theater. I'm, got my snacks, my drink ready, and I'm ready to watch this movie. Instantly I'm hooked on this movie because one, I mean, it captures the sounds, the sights of racing, like, like almost like as like Ford versus Ferrari, but obviously F1 and not the racing in that movie, but F1. And you get the atmosphere in, you get all the car sounds, the engines, the whizzing of the cars past the screen. You get the cool shots of the cars, neck and neck in races and bumping into each other, and the drama, the tension, you get all that. That movie does all this and even some much more. I mean, the actual like filming of the racing itself in this movie is done so well, and like the camera's like right in the cockpit of the car, and it's on the sides, and you can get the view of the driver, and then the what's ahead of them, and the other cars coming in and colliding and stuff like that. It's really, really, really well done. There's absolutely, for me, no actual like complaint that I could actually give this movie about the filmmaking of it. It was incredible. It captures the speed, the ferocity, the intenseness, the passion, the drive, no pun intended, of F1 itself. And it gives you, at least me, a noob to F1, like a little bit of like nuggets here and there about strategies and stuff about racing. It's like, it's not just one for all for one, but it's like a team thing. So they like kind of like battle it out between the teammates of the cars that are driving, or at least the companies that are sponsoring the car, however you want to call it. But yeah, it's actually really good in that, in describing all that. And it's not just about like describing the race and watching races, but it's also very character driven as well. And that just, starts and ends with Brad Pitt's character, Sonny Hayes, in this movie. I would assume it's not, I don't think it's based on a true story, so I think it's completely fictional when it comes to the character. But Brad Pitt is a incredible actor. And, like, I'm not just talking about, like, he's incredible, like he's won an Oscar, that he's good at, like, emotional. He's good at, like, being being stern and like having a strong presence. But like Brad Pitt's cool as shit. I mean, he's just a cool dude, and he radiates cool in this movie. And for one thing, if you're gonna walk away from this movie, if you're not like a fan of F1, if you're not a fan of the racing, if you're not a fan of like the competition in it too, you're gonna be like, that was a cool movie. At least like Brad Pitt made that movie hella cool. And he does. And it's so fun to watch because it's like, he's coming into, as an American, into a predominantly European and foreign sport, and like kind of like putting his like own like American flair on the sport, so I thought that was really cool to see, fun to watch, kind of like a fish out of water in some scenes of the movie. But he really sells the movie. Like, he is the driving force of this movie. And I think that, him being in that role is like the perfect fit. Like, I could not really picture like anybody else really doing this role than Brad Pitt. I mean, maybe you could probably do like a Ryan Gosling potentially, but I think that, Brad Pitt just has this like this cool swagger about him that's just like, yeah, this is totally him. Like 100%, like this is like his movie. And it's not just about like, him being cool, right? It's like him like competing with this much younger driver on the team, and their competition, and being the who wants to be the better driver. Brad Pitt is like the savvy vet of racing. This guy is up and coming, he's young, he's brash, he's immature, and Brad Pitt has to like, mentor him, mature him a little bit, and make sure he doesn't like make the same mistakes as he did when he was younger. And it's cool to see that. It's like, it's like a role that kind of like, Brad Pitt is like now at the age where like he would play that role. He would be the old, like, wise master type of character and teaching the up and coming guy like the ropes of how, like, how this is all done. So in that like viewpoint, like the competition slash mentorship and teaching thing alongside of like, striving to be better, owning like your craft, like, focusing on the goal, not letting anything distract you. It's just great for a movie to see. A lot of like the theme of it, right, is like the old guy kind of showing the new guy what's up. Very, very, Top Gun Maverick-esque, if you want to like really like, examine it. Top Gun Maverick, you got Maverick coming back to teach the younger pilots how to be a good, fighter pilot and all that. And you got Brad Pitt, the old racer, trying to like not necessarily teach him like straight up, but like showing him the ropes of how to actually, like if you really want to be good at racing, even great, you got to make sure you're doing these things. That way you're not being distracted. It's a really good movie, a really, really, really good movie, in my opinion. It's not slow, well paced, well structured, very well acted. I do think that there is a couple scenes in there that kind of really take me out of the movie. There's a couple that do. One is a scene where characters are playing poker, and to me that scene just goes on way, way too long, and it almost kind of took me out of it just a little bit. I thought it was kind of corny, but it was still nonetheless like a really, really, really awesome movie. Like it was just like a really fun time. And if you want to see some cool racing shots and cool racing scenes and sequences, then this is the movie that you want to go see. Like, I mean, the racing was like almost, if not on par with Ford versus Ferrari. That one, when I saw that, I mean, that was incredible. I still think that movie, Ford v Ferrari, is better than F1, but like, I think I gave Ford versus Ferrari like an 11 out of 10 when I saw it. I mean, that one just absolutely blew me away. It was emotional. It was energetic. The characters were great. The story was awesome. But this one is not that much far behind. I wouldn't say it's as good as Ford versus Ferrari at all, but it certainly is like one of like the better like racing movies that are out there that you can probably see within like the last like 10 years. So final score, final thoughts on this movie. It's such a fun movie. Summer blockbuster through and through. You got the star power, you got the effects, you got the cool premise, you got the racing, you got the spectacle. I mean, they actually went to a lot of these races and like filmed like alongside of the race to get the actual atmosphere of Formula One racing. And I gotta say, man, I appreciate that so much, because I mean, they could have obviously done like a lot of effects with this, and make it look like it was all CGI, but you can tell in this movie that like how much they actually did the filming on location, practical stuff like that, the attention to detail, everything about it, the commitment that you got from all the actors playing their characters, especially Brad Pitt. I mean, like, dude, I mean, I don't think this movie works with anybody but Brad Pitt, I'll be honest. So yeah, final verdict, F1, awesome movie. If you saw my review on X, you already know, but in case you haven't seen it, I give F1 a 8.9 out of 10. Awesome movie. A couple more things I want to talk about before I leave. More movie stuff, I recently saw, yesterday actually, that Disney is on full-on Indiana Jones reboot mode. Now, I didn't see an actual post about it by Disney, by Lucasfilm, by anybody official, but I've been seeing it online that they are actually, on X, that rumblings are happening that they could potentially be rebooting Indiana Jones. Now, if you guys know me, Indiana Jones is one of my favorite characters of all time. Some of my favorite movies out there are the Indiana Jones movies. 1, 2, 3, and even 4. Not 5 though. But I heard and I've seen, that they could be rebooting the franchise. And if you know this, if you are an educated person, you know that the person who plays Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford last year, I believe it was last year, made a 5th Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, where if you saw the movie and you were paying attention, you could clearly see that he is no longer of the age where he should be playing Indiana Jones. Now, I'm also a very empathetic person. I understand and I get that Harrison Ford really likes the character of Indiana Jones and wants to keep playing Indiana Jones. However, Indiana Jones is an action movie character. He's known for going into tombs, jumping over cars, jumping from car to car, shooting up bad guys, punching people, jumping off of things, making crazy rescues, doing some really actiony stuff. I mean, Harrison Ford can no longer do these, so, I mean, if you did not see Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I think you probably, even if you know what he looks like, you're probably thinking like to yourself, like, yeah, he probably shouldn't be doing this. And if you saw the newest one, The Great Circle, you know that he's not doing any of that stuff. I mean, that last movie, when they straight up had action, sequences of him not even facing the camera, clearly a stunt double and just like CGI to hell in that beginning sequence with the Nazi mission and him being de-aged. Like, it was just like, yeah, this cannot continue. I understand that he has a love for the character and he's like, nobody can play him but me. But pal, I think that, you don't own the character. A company does. So, you don't get final say. As much as we like you, bro, like, we love you a lot. We love you how you play the character of Indiana Jones, but like, if there's more stories to tell with Indiana Jones, being within, in cool locations and cool things. I mean, hell, they just had the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. No, wait. What was I saying before? The movie? I hope I said it right. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was the 5th movie. The Great Circle is the game, which is great. But my point, they can clearly make some new Indiana Jones stuff that is, not with Harrison Ford. I know in this game it's the voice acting and not the actual acting, but my point is, like, there are still opportunities out there to make good Indiana Jones movies and potentially Indiana Jones series. So if, a reboot is, ordered, I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing. I mean, hell, another beloved character that is played by many different actors, James Bond, right? Has good movies, each and every generation. Maybe not every movie's great, but like there's definitely some that are really good. And they all have different actors. I mean, that's like not common or not uncommon with James Bond. Why can't we do that with Indiana Jones? And I'm not saying like we need to do it like every 10 years a new James Bond, but like, maybe, like, when I say that, I mean like a new James Bond actor every 10 years or so. Like, we could probably get someone who's young enough now and kind of make like a new adventures of Indiana Jones and just like, age them up a little bit and, keep them doing it for a while. I mean, like, it's not like it's going to be like a new actor every like 5 years or whatever. Like, it's just, it would be its first new actor. It'd be the same character, just different people playing him. Like I said, they do that with James Bond all the time. Like, that would be something that I would not be against. And I respect Harrison Ford, and I love Harrison Ford for playing that character. But let's face it, he can't do it no more. And I think that Lucasfilm knows that, hey, they just made a game about Indiana Jones and it was sick. And clearly there is some stories that can be told in this, with this character still. That new ones that we can come up with that are going to be really good. And listen, I don't want to be the, I don't want to be unoriginal, but I do think that Chris Pratt could be a pretty cool Indiana Jones. I mean, let's be honest. He had Jurassic World, he had Guardians of the Galaxy, both he starred in and pretty much made those movies like good. He's a top, grossing actor. Kind of looks like he could play Indiana Jones if you just like look at the guy. So I mean, like I wouldn't be pissed off if Chris Pratt was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be Indiana Jones, and we're gonna launch a new trilogy." Like I'd be down for that. I'd be honest. I mean, like that would be freaking sick. Like, come on, like you can't tell me that Indiana Jones, a new movie with a younger actor playing Indiana Jones, would not be sick. Like that would be freaking awesome. I mean, come on. And again, no disrespect to Harrison Ford, but I do see immense opportunity in a lot of like, good stories that could possibly come from rebooting Indiana Jones. Now, the post on X said reboot, which, I mean, to me is like a wiping the slate clean, essentially saying that all these other ones did not happen, which, I mean, if you think about it, that's what happens with James Bond every movie star. Like, it's not the same James Bond doing like GoldenEye and then the same James Bond doing Skyfall. It's a different James Bond. So, I mean, like, it would be kind of tricky, if I'm being honest, to, navigate that, to see, like, how this would make sense to audiences. Like, if they totally reboot, does that mean, like, this Indiana Jones has not experienced the Raiders of the Lost Ark? Has he not, defied Shiva in the Temple of Doom? Did he not find the Holy Grail to save his dad in The Last Crusade? Did he not meet Short Round? Like, what's the move there? They wipe it clean entirely and be like, this is a new Indiana Jones, the same character, but different adventures, like an alternate universe Indy. Is that what this is? If they actually do that, if they like go to the lengths of like explaining like, no, this is like the Infinity Sagas, Indy, that was Harrison Ford, and Chris Pratt is the multiverse Indiana Jones. Like that'd be kind of stupid and silly and dumb as hell. That's like too much explaining has happened, right? But if they just kind of make it like this is a new Indiana Jones adventure, like they can just like plop it like in the middle between like Temple of Doom and Raiders, and like kind of mention characters from like Raiders and maybe someone that appears in Temple, like that would be okay with me. I would not mind that. That'd be kind of sick. Or maybe like a adventure like right after Last Crusade, like maybe a couple weeks after. Then you can still kind of have like all the events that happened in Indy's life kind of like maybe still be coherent with like this new adventure, something like that. That'd be pretty sick actually. I would watch that. I think that a lot of people would watch that. It's not really disrespecting anything that happened before. It's not wiping it clean either. It's just like, a continuation of the story. I mean, I think that would work out pretty well. I think so. Or maybe you could just do a younger version of Indiana Jones before Temple of Doom, before Raiders, before Last Crusade, and do it like in like the 1920s, maybe like when he's younger. I know they had the Young Indiana Jones series, but like maybe older than that, I don't know. It's just like an idea. You know, I don't think that. I think that, you know, those posts saying reboot is kind of it's a little like it's kind of like almost saying like they're gonna wipe the entire slate clean, like, and just start from scratch. I kind of wouldn't like that. I would like, you know, maybe prequel movies that, you know, you know, show them at a little bit of a younger age, and maybe some after Crusade. That'd be pretty sick, like a continuation and like a prequel. Not necessarily like in the Crystal Skull like years either, but like, you know, something like that. Not too much before Raiders or Temple, but not too far after Crusade, you know. That would be like my dream scenario, like to have stories like before Raiders, before Temple, between those two, and between Crusade and a little after Crusade, but nothing more than that. Like, figure it out, you know. I mean, you guys have brains, you know. You figure it out. Like, honestly, when you try to do the Dial of Destiny, the guy was like 80 years old. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. I'm sorry. But yeah, and that's just what I think. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.